If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be sitting here writing this, I would have laughed in their face. My name is Daniel, 36M. My wife, Claire, 34F, and I had been married for almost 8 years. We had what I thought was a solid, happy marriage. No kids, just the two of us, our dog Ollie, and a little 3-bedroom house we bought together 5 years ago. We both worked hard, me in IT, her in marketing. Life was comfortable. Simple. Or so I believed. Looking back, I can see the signs now. But back then? I was clueless. It started about 6 months ago. Claire had been hinting that she wanted a new piece of jewelry, a necklace she could wear every day. Nothing extravagant, just something special. I loved the idea. I even suggested we shop for it together, but she brushed it off, saying she wanted it to be a surprise, something she'd find on her own. At the time, I thought, sweet, she wants to treat herself. Good for her. She began visiting this high-end jewelry store downtown, Pirelli and Company. I didn't think much of it. In fact, I encouraged it. Told her to find something she truly loved. She mentioned they had a great consultant there, a guy named Adrian, who was helping her pick the perfect piece. I remember even laughing about it with my buddy over beers. Claire's found her jewelry guru, I joked. Weeks passed, then months. She became different. Distant. The usual spark we had in our conversations seemed dimmer. Our Friday movie nights turned into her being too tired. She stayed late at work more often or claimed she was meeting a friend I didn't know too well. And our intimacy? Well, let's just say Ollie got more hugs than I did. Still, I chalked it up to work stress. We'd both been swamped. I didn't want to be the overbearing husband. I wanted to give her space. But then came the day that changed everything. It was a random Tuesday. Claire had left for work early, and I'd taken the day off to finish some home repairs. Around noon, I decided to surprise her with lunch. I knew she wasn't a fan of her office cafeteria, so I texted her to see if she was around. No reply. Fine. I figured I'd bring lunch to her office anyway. I arrived, only to find out from her coworker that Claire had taken a personal day. My heart skipped a beat. Confused, I called her again. Voicemail. Now, I'm not the suspicious type by nature, but something gnawed at me. On a hunch, I remembered her mentioning Pirelli and Company was having a new jewelry line launched that week. Without really thinking, I drove over. That's when I saw them. Through the storefront window, as clear as day, Claire and a tall, sharply dressed man with dark hair. Adrian. They weren't just looking at jewelry. They were sitting in a quiet corner, sipping champagne, his hand resting on hers casually. The way she looked at him, I hadn't seen that look in months. I felt like the ground was crumbling beneath me. I stood there for a few minutes, frozen. Then I left before anyone noticed me. I didn't confront her that night. I needed time to process. To be sure. But from that day on, I paid attention. Over the next 2 weeks, her absences grew more frequent. Always with vague excuses. I finally did what I never thought I would. I checked her phone one morning when she was in the shower. Messages from H, short for Adrian, I assume. Flirty texts. Mentions of dinners, afternoons together. Even references to a weekend getaway they were planning. My stomach twisted. 8 years of trust shattered in seconds. I wish I could say I confronted her calmly. I didn't. That night, after a few drinks to steel my nerves, I laid her phone on the table and simply said, "Who is Adrian?" Her face drained of color. The lie she stammered out was weak, "He's just a friend, it's nothing." But when I pressed, her eyes welled up. The dam broke. They had been seeing each other for about 3 months. It started innocently, flirting during her visits to the store. It escalated to lunches, then drinks, then more. She said it wasn't serious, that she never intended for it to go this far, that she still loved me. But every word felt hollow. All I could see were those messages. That look in her eyes when she was with him. That night, I slept in the guest room. I couldn't stand to be near her. Now here I am, a week later, still unsure of what comes next. We haven't talked much. Part of me wants to scream, to demand why, to understand how she could do this. The other part? It's numb. The betrayal runs so deep I can't even summon the energy. I keep thinking about the life we built, about all the plans we had. About how, while I was blissfully planning our next vacation, she was sneaking off to be with another man. I'm not sure what tomorrow holds. But I know one thing: nothing will ever be the same. It's strange how fast your world can change. A week had passed since I confronted Claire. I was numb, walking through my days like a ghost in my own home. We barely spoke. The tension hung in the air like a fog I couldn't clear. She cried, apologized, begged me to understand. Said it was a mistake. That she'd never stopped loving me. I couldn't bring myself to respond. Every word felt cheap compared to the image burned into my mind, her hand in his, that look on her face. I spent my nights replaying everything. The moments I missed. The signs I ignored. How I trusted her, implicitly, stupidly. How she'd chosen him, a man she barely knew, over the life we'd built. But I wasn't ready to make a decision yet. Part of me still wanted answers. That Friday, a friend from work, Kyle, asked me to grab drinks. He'd noticed something was off. I wasn't ready to spill the whole story, but over a few beers, the dam cracked. When I told him about Claire and Adrian, he didn't even try to hide his disgust. "Man, you need to know everything," he said. "You can't move on till you know what really happened." He was right. Half-truths weren't enough. If I was going to put this marriage to rest or somehow salvage it, I needed the whole story. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. I didn't tell Claire. I just said I needed space and went to stay with my brother for a few days. The investigator worked fast. Within 4 days, he had what I didn't want but desperately needed: confirmation. Photos of them leaving a hotel together. Receipts. Dates that matched the nights she had worked late. There was no gray area anymore. No room for "it wasn't serious" or "it was just a mistake." It had been an ongoing affair. And the worst part? One of those nights had been the weekend of our anniversary. I returned home one evening, the folder in my hands, my heart a lead weight in my chest. Claire was in the kitchen. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping either. "We need to talk," I said. I laid the folder on the table. She opened it and her face crumpled before she'd even made it halfway through. I'm so sorry, Dan," she sobbed. "I know there's nothing I can say. I was lost, stupid." He made me feel wanted. That word, wanted, hit me like a punch. Hadn't I always shown her love? Hadn't I supported her dreams, her career, her passions? How could she say that as if I'd failed her? I kept my voice steady. "You could have told me. You could have asked for space, for help, for anything. But you chose this. You chose lies." She broke down. "I ended it. I swear. After you found out, I told him it was over. I couldn't face what I'd done. I didn't know if I believed her." At that moment, it almost didn't matter. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I said, "I'm filing for separation." She looked shattered. "Is there any way back from this?" I wanted to say no. I felt no. But part of me hated how much I still loved her, how deep the hurt ran because of that love. "I don't know," I told her honestly. "Right now, I can't even look at you without seeing him." She nodded through tears. "I'll give you whatever space you need. I'll move out if you want." That was the first decision I made clearly: I need you to move out. It's been 3 months since that night. Claire moved in with a friend. We're legally separated. She sends me long messages sometimes, filled with apologies and hope for forgiveness. I don't answer them. The PI's file still sits in my desk drawer. I haven't opened it again. I see a therapist now. I walk Ollie every night and try to rebuild my life from the ground up. Some days I miss the Claire I thought I knew. Other days I'm filled with a rage so sharp I can't breathe. But the biggest thing I've realized? This wasn't about Adrian. It wasn't about the jewelry, the champagne, or the allure of someone new. It was about us, the cracks I didn't see, the distance that grew while I was busy believing we were fine. I'm learning that love alone isn't enough. It takes vigilance, honesty, connection. Without that, even the strongest relationships can fall apart. I'm not sure what the future holds. Maybe one day I'll be ready to try again with someone else, or maybe even with Claire. But right now, I'm focusing on healing, on finding myself again. Because when trust shatters, you don't just lose the person you love, you lose the version of yourself that believed in them. And that takes time to rebuild.